What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Human Experience, where we have no structure and we simply talk about human fucking experiences. What we're actually going through, because we're all going through pretty similar shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you can say that your shit is worse than somebody else's shit, but at the end of the day, we're all going through very human shit in this world. And I want to talk about it in the most open way I can, and any spiritual messages that are kind of coming through from me to you guys. And so first and foremost, we're going to go over my case study for this week of what I was feeling, what I was going through, see if you guys relate to that in any way, if you can find anything in there that is helpful to you. And then I actually want to go over a topic today that is meditation. People are talking a lot about how to meditate properly, how to utilize meditation in life, and I want to give my 2 cents, honestly. So let's get right the fuck into it. This week, December, it's really quite cold for the first time in Toronto here. It's gray, it's gross. This week I was struggling. This week I really, really struggled, specifically with depression. It's something I struggle with on and off. I'm not like diagnosed or anything like that. So if that's where you're at, if you're diagnosed with a mental illness of some sort, that's not where I'm at. But I also haven't talked to a doctor. So it's very possible that I am diagnosed with that. I'm diagnosed with anxiety, but YOLO. No, but I have really been struggling with depression this week, specifically suicidal thoughts. So if that's something that is triggering to you, let's just kind of stop this here, or maybe you can get something from it if you're struggling with it as well, because honestly, like in social media this week, there was a dancer star Twitch who killed himself, and it's been something that's been on my mind, and it's something that I don't speak enough about. Because I do struggle with it myself and I should be talking about it. I just have never found the words because I don't want to offend anybody, and my own opinions might be offensive to somebody else, but at the same time, fuck it, because what's helped me could help somebody else, and that's where I'm at. I kind of just have to talk about it. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's funny, right? Because I seem so happy. You know, I've lived a beautiful life. I've traveled the world. I have really supportive parents who are still together. Like, I'm a brat when it comes to, sheltered childhood. Like, I really, I always think of it myself as like, I have no reason to be depressed. And that's always what we say, right? It's like, oh, but that guy looked so happy, or he had everything, or whatever. Like this celebrity star Twitch, he had everything at his fingertips. He had a beautiful wife, a beautiful family. But mental struggles make no logical sense. And until we fucking stop trying to pretend like we're going to be able to fix them, nobody's going to get any better. Nobody's going to get any better, because that's not what it's about. As somebody who's struggled with anxiety and depression for God knows how long, I've realized that there is no trigger. In trying to look for a trigger, you're running in circles. There's no point. And you know what? It's even worse than that, because then we try to aim to fix it. And that continues a cycle of bullshit. Then we're chasing something outside of ourselves. We're continuing to grasp. We're continuing to run in one direction. And, we're getting motivated to get better. And then we don't get better. And then we get worse. Does that make sense? So we're constantly fluctuating. I don't know if you guys feel this. For so long, I was told to fix my anxiety, to fix my panic attacks, to fix my depression, or to not feel suicidal, or to go get help or whatever. And I'm not saying to not get help. I was on medication. I've seen therapists, the works, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. It saved my life. But a common issue that I find within, I don't know, fucking might as well call it Western medicine, because a lot of what I'm talking about is Eastern medicine, I guess, or just spiritual topics, but is chasing a trigger. When you chase something as if that was the thing that caused you to be depressed, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. I actually was just writing about this in my journal. Depression, especially suicidal thoughts, are a calling home. It's saying, I can't live like this anymore. It's truly saying, it's realistically, you're just putting everything on the table. You can't live like this anymore. And I feel like I'm in dangerous territory even by saying that, but bear with me for a second. You're right to say that you can't live like that anymore. You're right to say that. What you also can't do is take on some new persona and try to live like that. You can't, try to fill the void with some other person. So what do you do? So what do you do then? It's like, so then what? And I'm not saying I have the answer, but I'm saying it's within. Oftentimes when we struggle, we're told to not trust ourselves, to not trust our own brains, because our brains are what's telling us to kill ourselves. No. I'm gonna kind of try to get through this here, but your brain has learned that suicide is an option. If that makes sense, especially in this day and age. I say I don't talk about it enough, but it is talked about a bit on social media, which I don't think is a problem. But then we have learned that it's an option to end our own lives. And in reality, that's not the only option we have. It seems like it because that's what our human has learned. It seems like if you can't live in society, if you can't make money, if you don't have a partner, if you're unhappy, then there's nothing left for you. Especially with social media. God, you watch everybody live their best fucking lives and you just feel like completely, trapped. I'll give a bit into me right now is I'm living with my parents. I have been for a while since my breakup. I'm single. I don't go out. I don't see anybody. I've completely isolated myself from the world. I don't have any purpose. I only just started a new job. I have no money. God, it makes me feel like, how am I going to get out of this? There's no way. There's no way out. And so, what's the point? And so I battle that every single day. I used to be really afraid of those thoughts. I used to be really stressed about those thoughts because I didn't trust myself, which is something we oftentimes come in contact with when we are struggling because we're told to look outside of ourselves for help. It's not to say that we shouldn't, but what depression is a calling home. You have the answers within yourself, which is actually funny because we're going to talk about meditation, which is helpful, but you have the answers within yourself. You have the answers within yourself, but we have to get through the human bullshit. So what have we learned? All of the shit that we've learned, we have to clear out the learning so that we can get to our truth. Which is that we don't have to have a purpose right now. Which is that we don't have to know what's going on right now. Which is we don't have to get out of the hole right now. We just have to build that foundation. We have to build that relationship with self. We have to get comfortable with the unknown. We have to get comfortable without clarity. We have to get comfortable with all of that. Depression and anxiety in itself is almost like an addiction. It's almost a grasping. We're grasping. It's funny, people with anxiety and depression, I find, and this might be a stereotype, those people are fighters. Those people have been around the block. Either they're still fighting and they're still anxious because they're fighting to live a life that they don't actually believe in or don't actually want to be living. And this isn't some manifest your better life or be your highest self bullshit. This is real. You just don't like the way that you're living and you don't see a way to live like this. And then the depressed people are just the people that are just over it. I know that's generalized, but I feel like that's sometimes it's just what am I supposed to do? What do you want from me? I can't do all this. This isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. So I think first and foremost, don't blame yourself or think that there's something wrong with you or that you can't trust yourself in that if you're in that space. That's when you have to trust yourself. Not the learned bullshit of you can't live like this. You have to trust yourself on a deeper level, meaning that you have to get to know yourself. And that is where meditation can kind of come into play, is when you are getting to know yourself. Anxiety and depression, suicidal thoughts, it's just a calling home. Suicide is I can't live like this anymore. I have to do something about it. I have to fix this because it's not sustainable. You're right, it's not sustainable. You're right that living without peace is not sustainable. You're correct. You're correct, but there's another way out. That's really my mission, is to teach that way out. Because I've come from feeling like I'm, when I feel like that, when I feel like there's no point and I'm unable to keep going, to being able to find my way back, to find my way home, to find my way to truth. I got a lot of human learned bullshit in there. I got a lot of patterns, a lot of bullshit, but now I can see it as bullshit. And for so long, I didn't. For so long, I believed it all. Yeah, you're right. That's the only way out. Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't trust yourself. Yeah, you're right. Everything you do is fucked. Your life is fucked. You fucked yourself. There's no way out. I believed all that for a really long time. It's a really awful place. So first and foremost, I want to just say, anybody struggling with that right now, especially during the holidays, I'm with you. I'm with you. On top of that, I want to just send up a prayer to everybody who has lost their lives to depression, the ones that we hear about and the ones that we don't. It's not logical. It's not logical because it's not about the trigger. It's not about what... You can pretend that you're anxious about something. You can pretend that you're depressed about something, but that's not it. Okay, so you cure one trigger, you fix one thing, in your life or whatever, make your life better, you make more money, whatever. You're just going to come back around. You'll come back around. You'll find your way back to a place where you feel depressed again, because your depression is your soul saying, hey, you're off track. You don't have to live like this. And you as a human think, I have to fix it myself. I'm on my own. I got to do this myself. Meanwhile, you have no idea that you have the support of your soul on your side. You don't know your soul, your God self, whatever you want to call it. You don't know yourself. You know your identities. You know your human learned things. You know your ego. You don't know yourself. And so through meditation, perfect little segue there. Through meditation, we can learn. We can meet ourselves. So what is meditation? Do you personally, when you think of meditation, do you think of sitting quietly? What do you think of? Because meditation is not a practice. That's a backwards way to say this, but it's not a practice necessarily. It's that you are almost having coffee with yourself. Some people are saying date yourself. On track. That's on track to what meditation is. Meditation is actually a state in which you get through the human bullshit and you really are just in a room alone with yourself. That's meditation, nirvana, heaven, if you want to call